last cable located on the bottom of the logic board. With it removed, we can take a closer look at the housings, and you can see from the original compared to the replacement, it's missing a couple components such as a few antenna cables, as well as a little rubber grommet thing that connects to the microphone, and as well as some adhesive is missing on the home button cable. I'll need to fix those along the way. Starting with the old housing, I'm going to remove the camera, which will give me access to this little antenna which is located up the top of the device. It appears to be welded to the power button, but either way, shoving a tweezer in between it and giving it a little bit of a wiggle, it did come free. I'll also remove the speaker from the old housing, and that's just about it. And that's all the parts I'll be using from this old frame. Coming across to the new housing, I can install that antenna we just took out from the old housing, screwing it back in place, as well as this little piece up the top, which I believe is a grounding clip for the logic board. I can remove the speaker and then begin removing the dock connector from the new frame, and you're probably wondering why that is, but that'll give me enough access to install that little grommet for the microphone. And while I was in there, I noticed that it was also missing another little antenna or grounding clip or something like that that goes underneath the headphone jack, so I robbed one of those off an old iPhone SE dock that I had laying around in my parts bin to use on this SE. With that now installed, I can put back the dock connector into the phone and then install the speaker, which was from the original SE frame, which contains that antenna which was missing from the replacement housing. With all of the small components installed, it's time to install the logic board back into the phone. Now, if you're wondering where I got a custom printed iPhone housing with IMEI number, you can find them online at places like AliExpress and Chinese websites, because China seems to have a lot of huge manufacturing facilities. In terms of the quality of the housing, the metal and the paint seems pretty good for now, but I've ordered a few of these. They weren't too cheap, and I ordered them all with parts, and as you can see in this video, they were missing a few antennas and parts. Some of them were missing screws and other little components. So if you're going to order one, maybe just get it without the small parts installed, because they don't seem very good at installing them themselves. You're probably best to do that yourself when you're doing the repair. Either way, it's time to move across to the LCD, where I can remove the backing plate and front-facing camera flex cable, which I'll need to transfer across the new screen, which, for those wondering, is an Apple refurbished panel, which means it is previously a cracked display that's had the top layer of glass replaced, and that basically gives the iPhone screen another life, and also you're getting an Apple screen, so it's nice in terms of quality and touch. Moving along to the home button, I can install the new replacement button, so that means we won't have Touch ID or anything like that. I also noticed that it didn't have any adhesive that was strong enough to hold down the cable, so I did just remove the bracket to install another little piece of adhesive, which will keep the button secured inside the device. With the home button installed, that completes the display assembly, which means it's time to connect it up to the device, where I can remove the battery adhesive strip and install the battery. Connecting up the battery to the phone, after I've connected the display flex cables, I can install the remaining two brackets and their appropriate screws, and giving the phone a good clean in the inside with a microfiber cloth, I began to seal down the device, but found that the home button was still not attached good enough, because the replacement button didn't have the little cable management screw hole, which would have kept it in its position originally, so I just used a piece of adhesive. Anyway, sealing down the device and installing the two pentalobe screws into the bottom means that I can test out the phone, and we see the Apple logo, which is a definite good sign. I can remove